Hi there and welcome along to another video for you to row along to. It's week 3 and this is session 1, which means it's a bottom tier row. Today we're going to do 30 minutes at 26 strokes per minute and it's going to be at 2k plus 18. So this is all going to work out around about an effort level of 6, especially because of the higher stroke rate. 26 strokes a minute is a good 6 strokes a minute faster than I would normally be going, but as being this is one of the ones that I've migrated off the peak plan, then he's advising higher stroke rates than would normally be done for this kind of a row. So anyway, let's get into our 4-minute warm-up first. Set your drag factor, please. Check out the video I've got on here about drag factor if you don't know what you should be rowing at. Set your monitor, make sure it's at eye height so you don't have to look up, don't have to look down, and set your foot straps so they cover either the bottom lace in your shoe or they go over your toes, letting you hinge forward if you're in socks or bare feet. Got nice white socks on today. How long are they going to last white? Right, so let's get into our 4 minutes, run about 18 strokes a minute. Just follow me, I'll guide you through a little bit. So in 3, 2, 1, go. So it's going to be an interesting one for me today, because yesterday was when I did session 6 of week 2. And if you're following the plan enough that you've done session 6 of week 2, you'll have seen that I really suffered. I got around about halfway into it, and because of the heat outside, I just completely fell apart. Managed to hold a stroke rate, but whereas I was hoping for a 2k plus 10 pace, I had to drop down to 2k plus 12. I mean, admittedly, the pace guide was 2k plus 10 to 12, but I was a wee bit disappointed that I couldn't hold it, but I know it was all because I was massively dehydrated in the sun, so lesson to be learnt there. If you're going to work out in the sun, make sure you're properly hydrated and maybe back off your pace a bit. Right, because we've got half an hour on today's row together, I'll cover technique tips through the main row, but for the time being, just make sure that the power from your stroke is coming from your leg drive. Right, and in 10 seconds, we're going to take a foot out of the foot strap. You don't have to, of course, but just take one out and do some single leg rowing. Get that compression right at the front. And a nice solid drive from the leg that's still in. Don't overlean at the front. I think I just caught myself in the mirror doing that. One more. Stop feet. Same thing again. Try and have a natural slide forwards. Don't overlean in just because you can. This should give you improved flexibility at the front, so you can quite easily overdo it. Okay, both feet in, legs almost straight, back swing, arms in. Back swing, arms in. Then try and think about getting them back out as well. So you're just back, arms, arms, back. Always swinging through the hips. When I say back, arms, back, arms, back, oh whatever. Back, arms, arms, back. I'm obviously still delirious. Okay, other way, drive with the legs. I was in a really bad dehydrated state for the rest of the night yesterday. Poor me, poor me. Make sure and keep a good powerful back doing these. 2 more strokes. Squeeze in 1 more. There we go. That's us on the warm up. If you're not warm, then carry on the warm up. Otherwise, have a drink, slide up and down the rail, and I'll explain again what we're doing today. So today then, we're going to be doing 30 minutes at 26 strokes per minute, and your pace is going to be 2k plus 18. Now, effort level wise, this is probably still going to be around about 6 because of the higher stroke rate. So although you're not putting in as much power, literally just flying up and down the rail that many times, it's going to feel a little bit tougher, but it's still your first workout of the week, and it should still feel bottom tier. If you feel you're going too hard and you're over puffing, just back off the pace, but keep the stroke rate up, okay? Speech, now let's see how that goes. It should be okay. I'm wondering again whether the cardio is going to take a bit of a hit at 26 strokes per minute, but like I say, in the other two, when we've done this at 22 and 24, this is a stroke rate that I'm not really that used to doing for this kind of a row, so we're in this together. So anyway, make sure to load 30 minutes onto your monitor if you want to. There's no wackiness in terms of undefined rests or anything today. Just get my little sound module out of my pocket. Give you a last chance to have a drink. There we go. Professional to the end, eh? Okay, so 30 minutes, 26 strokes per minute, 2k plus 18 in 3, 2, 1, go. It's interesting doing this today, having done the 26 at a much harder pace yesterday. There we go. So another one that really does feel like rowing through air. I kind of swing back and forwards about what is the value of this kind of a row, but I'll trust in the Pete plan. And I gotta say, today, going by somebody else's advice, can't remember who it was, sorry, I'm wearing my heart rate monitor on backwards, so the little sensor points are on my back instead of across my chest. And surprisingly, it's still picking up my heart rate just fine. $122 right now. Now, as much as I'm talking about the heat of yesterday, it's still really warm today, even in the studio. So I'm needing to make sure and take extra special care that I don't overblow this. Right. Let's go for broad brush strokes on technique, in case this is the first of my videos you've watched. The most important thing is that the rowing stroke is a push from the legs. I want you to think about pushing the machine away with your legs rather than thinking about pulling the handle in. If you get the rest of the sequencing right, the handle takes care of itself. But you just have to remember that the power comes from this leg drive at the front of the machine. The other thing, it's really 3 points I want you to
think about. So point one is pushed, literally push it, don't pull it. That's why I'm PDP. So that's point one. Point two is that your back goes from a 1 o'clock position at the front as you start the stroke. You hold it there for as long as you can through the leg drive, and then you swing back into an 11 o'clock position. And then you rock through the hips forwards again for the next stroke. So you're constantly swinging backwards and forwards. And then the third broad brushstroke key about technique is to make sure to get your hands over your knees as quickly as possible after you've got to the finish of the stroke. You get them over your knees, and you also swing your hips or swing your back forwards or body forwards over your hips at the same time, so that then all you have to do is bend your knees and you come sliding to the front of the machine, ready for the next stroke. So that's it. If you can think about pushing with your legs, swinging your body from 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and getting your hands over your knees with nice straight arms, then you have 80% of the rowing stroke sorted already. It's then down to the finer points, really. But right now, while I whiffle waffle away at you, just concentrate on pushing the machine away with your legs with straight arms at the front of the machine. Think about your body rocking, and think about getting your hands away. So just concentrate on that for a while. So I'm going to make a proper video, one of my dull lecture ones, but just because this is a pertinent workout to talk about it, and I believe, if my memory serves, I spoke about it in the similar row that was 24 strokes per minute. I just want to kind of explain why it is that I say that this is a much faster stroke rate than I would normally do this session at. And that's all down to something called the stroke power index, which is basically a measure of the power from here to here, and that's all. It's just saying the power you're putting into the machine, not the distance covered or anything, just power. And ideally, what you want to do is keep, well, especially for the lower rates, a similar power index as your stroke rate goes up. What does he mean? Well, if you are rowing at 18, let's make it simpler, 20 strokes a minute, and your stroke power index is 10, okay? Then let's also assume that that allows you to cover 10 meters per stroke. If you hold the same power index of 10, but that's 10 minutes gone away, but you increase your stroke rate to 24, you're still putting the same amount of power into the machine, but suddenly you're taking 4 strokes a minute more than you were before. So a very coarse look at the figures means that if you're taking 4 strokes a minute more, you should be going 40 meters more just by increasing the stroke rate, even though you're putting in exactly the same 10 on the stroke power index. However, it's not quite as simple as that. Due to the shortened recovery time, if you've got an extra 4 strokes a minute, you don't quite get the same 10 meters per stroke as you would if you're doing 20 strokes a minute. But the theory is there that what you want to do is hold the same stroke power index as you go up through the stroke rates, and you'll go faster. So if you can keep a SPI of between like 10 and 12, no matter what stroke rate you're doing, you're going to be kind of similar power-wise. Of course, the standard Concept 2 monitor display doesn't tell you SPI, so you have to connect to an app like Crew or Live Rowing, or I think ErgZone has it too. Or if you're on a non-Concept 2, no idea if it tells you that or not. Hopefully. By the way, you may be, well, you don't need to look at the figures if you row the way I tell you to, which is a certain pace attached to each stroke rate. So if you were doing 18 strokes per minute, you should have noticed by now that it's always the same. Well, unless it's a power session or something, but usually when I say 18 strokes a minute, you'll have noticed, not because of my madness, but by design, that the pace is 2k plus 20. And then if you go up to 20 strokes a minute, your pace is 2k plus 18. 22 is plus 15. 24 is plus 12. 26 is usually plus 9. 28 is plus 5. 30 is plus 2. And 32 is 2k pace. So that should broadly keep you within about 1.5 on the stroke power index. So if you're at 10, you probably won't go lower than 9, and maybe not higher than 10.5. So that's how 2k based training kind of works, really. Of course, you do have to tweak depending on duration. Now look at week 2's session 6. I didn't say to do that at 2k plus 9 because it was a 24-minute row. But if it was a 5-minute row, I would. So there's a few factors that come into it. And I guess part of those factors come into play on this row. There we go. Back to today's row. Whereas, because we're going for half an hour, and regardless of how much power you put into it, 26 strokes a minute for half an hour is still hard work. So see, I'm talking myself into liking it again. By backing off to 2k plus 18 for this high stroke rate, it keeps this row down at a bottom tier. Hopefully proven to you by the fact I've not shut up yet. So yes, 30 minute R20, 20 strokes per minute, I mean, would be your 2k plus 18. And I'd be in a similar effort level. The difference here is just the fact I'm taking 6 strokes extra a minute means I'm working harder. So reducing the pace helps keep me at the bottom tier. Plus, I see the benefit of this if you're not used to rowing this high or even this low, the stroke rate. By not worrying about laying in loads of power, you don't have that to contend with as well as a high stroke rate. So as a once a week session, I guess what I'm saying is it does have value. And maybe I just feared the unknown, so used to doing it the other way. Heart rate's up at 140, so even though I'm 2k plus 18, I'm obviously working hard. Or, well, working. Let's not say hard, because it's not really. It's just from a cardio point of view, I guess. These extra strokes per minute are just taking more energy, and the fact that it's 28 degrees outside and who knows what it is in this studio. I don't like looking at the temperature. It'll make me think negative thoughts. Best just to get on with it. Alright, we've just dipped under 10 minutes to go. Final note on this, then I'll move on. Bear in mind, if you were to do 30 minutes at 20 strokes per minute, that's you doing 600 strokes in half an hour. By raising it up to 26, that's an extra 180 strokes, which is another 9 minutes if you were to hold 20 strokes per minute. So, there you go. I guess that's the thinking behind it. So how are you getting on with your technique? I gave you the 3 major tips. And hopefully while, I say boring, but hopefully it wasn't boring, but while lecturing you about SPI and my thoughts on this higher stroke rate, hopefully you are just zoning out and concentrating on your technique. So what else can we say about it? Well, your core is really important. So as you drive from the front, have a good engaged core. To let the power get through into the handle. I'm not saying tensed, I'm not that punchy in the stomach, but just braced. And it's the same at the back. As you pull the handle in to finish the stroke, have a good braced core, and that'll keep your body position powerful, ready to swing forward on the next stroke. If you feel you've got a weak core for rowing, what's quite good is to hold a weight plate that you can comfortably hold above your head without risk of dropping it, please. Hold it above your head, straight up. And what to do is kind of rock or slide back and forward as though rowing, but holding the weight above your head. So you have a forward lean and a backward lean and a forward lean. All the time, making sure you have a braced core. Because if you don't, then you end up just bending at the lower back with a soggy core. You could injure yourself. And I do not want you to injure yourself because of one of my little tips. So maybe don't take a full slide forward and a full slide back. Just rock back and forward a little bit with that weight held above your head. And the moment you feel it slipping or getting too much for you, put it down. There's no heroics when it comes to holding a weight plate above your head. If you have any reservations about that as a training tool, then start off by just raising your arms above your head, palms facing forward, and then do the rocking back and forwards without the weight. And then once you feel comfortable, maybe just pick up a 2 kilogram weight plate, try it with that, then go up to 5, etc., etc. But do not put yourself in danger by holding a weight plate above your head. Is that a big enough caveat? But it also goes, let's say, like I say on the website, you should really only be undertaking within any fitness-based regime, especially one that aims to push you, if you know your body is okay. And if you need to get checked out by a doctor, get checked out by a doctor first. There we go. So, that's the core, finally. Now I touched on arms, but please keep your arms straight at the catch and only bend them towards the end. So, now. So, my arms are nice and straight for the majority of the drive to allow the power to get through. Next up, again at the front of the machine, make sure you get your shins to vertical here. And try and do it without taking your feet too far off the foot plate. Certainly don't go past vertical, but if you can't get too vertical, maybe try some hip flexor exercises and hamstring stretches. And that way, you're perfectly placed to get those heels down and drive, pushing the machine away from you. If your heels are so far off the foot plate that you need to initiate the drive with the balls of your feet or your toes, you might not be putting an efficient amount of power into the stroke. Just under 145 to go. And then finally, the finish. as you pull the handle in at the end of the stroke. Make sure it's a good powerful pull in once you initiate that finish here. Squeeze your shoulder blades. Try and get your wrists through nice and flat without having to have chicken wings splaying out. Don't want to do, well, as far as I'm concerned, you don't want to do that because it engages shoulder more. Whereas if you go, it's all about the lats. So elbows come out slightly, but not like a chicken. Although, I don't know if you can see from the angle you're looking at me at. Anyway, less than 30 to go, come on. Almost at the end of this hot and sweaty workout. All in time for spaghetti bolognese. It's Friday, people. It's spaghetti night. Can we get in 2 more? Yeah, 1 more, come on. Bang on 0 as we finish. There we go. So 150 heart rate finish for me, so that was probably tipping over where I'd want it to be on a typical bottom tier workout, but I think combination of suffering yesterday and it being hot again today has done that. Now hopefully you've either taken a drink or you've beat me to the cool down. Well, let's get into it in 3, 2, 1, go. Shouldn't be flapping about like a dying salmon after that row, so you should be able to get a relatively solid cool down out of this. I'm 2k plus 40 right now, at 20 strokes per minute, and that feels fine. Just enough of a push with the legs and enough of a pull with the arms at the end that I know this is going to be easing my muscles. Good news is, shoulder didn't hurt today. I'm sure you're interested. So there we go. Session 1 of week 3 finished, or depending on whether you're doing the 6-day plan, session X of week X. Who knows where you put this one, but hopefully it was of value. It's definitely not a muscle workout, this one, but I think judging by my heart rate and the sweat river underneath me, it is a good cardio workout. So anyway, remember to check out the PDP rowing website if you don't know the full details of the training plan. Check out the Facebook PDP rowing group. Come say hi, interact with the rest of the people who are doing the plan too. And remember, I've also got indoorrowinginfo.com, which just has lots of info and news and teams and apps and training and whatever to do with indoor rowing. It's 2 minutes up for me. And do subscribe. I always put the call out for subscription and comments at the end, because I kind of feel cheap if I'd said that halfway through the row. I know I've done it before, but I always feel a little bit greasy mid-row going, oh, make sure and subscribe. Because you're like, what am I going to do? Click? How can I click? I'm rowing. So anyway, that's why I always do it at the end. And I know I'm probably missing a few people who've already switched off. They're like, I've had enough of him. I'm not listening to him again. But anyway, comment. I do read them. I do reply. I try and help if you're having issues. And remember, I am open to, if you want to send in a short video of you rowing, I'm quite happy to look at it and go, you're not quite doing the backswing or whatever. I mean, go to a coach. probably better placed if you can actually see somebody rather than do it over video. But if you've got no one else to speak to and you just want a couple of tips, then, I mean, listen, I spent 20 minutes talking technique. You know I dig this stuff. So anyway, so that's the end of session 1 for week 3. Session 2 of week 3 is an interesting one. Yeah, looking forward to that. So stay safe, be well. See you in the next video. Have a nice one. I'm looking